I know what it's like to have family that are persecuted. Most targeted individuals, from what I'm hearing, a lot of them know or feel as if their family is in on their targeting. And in my case, it's the opposite. My family's also targeted as well. My mother, my brother, and my two sisters were all targeted. The things that these people have done to my family, it that's the hardest part of dealing with the targeting for me personally. I don't care what happens to me. I'm extremely strong-minded, strong-willed, strong-spirited. I mean, the Father I know is always with me, so he gives me that strength to be able to endure. But when these people do things to your blood, to your family, that are good people. Like my family, there were times that we lived in the hood. In reference to my mother, has kind of like always lived in the hood. When she got, when her and my dad got divorced, she basically went back to living in the hood. And, there were times that we lived in the hood, me and my siblings. There was always drugs around us. There was always gang activity, just a lot of evil and wickedness that always surrounded us, but we never partook in any of it. We'd often have people come up to us and tell us that we're really good people. And I can remember like always going about my business when I used to ride the bus line. I used to just go take bus rides whenever I got bored and just kind of like ride around the city. I'd also go look for jobs in different places, and I never had issues with getting work, I always kept a good attitude and was always able to find work and to keep myself busy and occupied and to not hang around in the hood too much, around the people that are involved in criminal activity and things of that nature. So our family had been watched, since we were kids. The police had always watched us, especially me. I can remember one particular night, me and my stepfather walked to the convenience store, and before that walk, during that time period, I played sports in school, and a common thing that athletes get, they get kind of like jock itch. So I got that one time. It's not like an STD or anything like that. It's just like, I guess it's a fungus that you get if you sweat a lot. Anyways, you treat it with just basically keeping the affected area dry. Okay. So what I did was, it was a lot of pain and discomfort. I had never had that before, so I didn't know what I was dealing with exactly. So, I looked it up and it just said, yeah, just put this like antifungal cream on it and also keep the area dry. So to add extra comfort to myself, and I'm sorry if this is too much information. Like I said, I'm a real person. I'm genuine and I'm an open book. I don't lie about anything. But to alleviate some of the discomfort, I would put like toilet tissue around, the affected area or whatever. And what happened was, after I did that one particular evening, me and my stepdad, we walked to the convenience store because we would usually like go buy like little snacks and stuff like that, and we'd come back and watch movies together and play. He'd watch me play my little Nintendo and stuff like that. And my stepfather actually was a perp, come to find out. But looking back on it, anyways. But anyways, let me get back to the story. So we're walking to the convenience store, and out of the blue, this police car pulls up, and it was two cops. And one you could tell was a seasoned cop. He was a veteran, and the other one was kind of like a rookie, I guess, in training or whatever. So the cop immediately approached me. He didn't say nothing to my stepdad. He approached me, and he told me to put my hands up on the hood. So I'm questioning what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, what is going on? I'm looking at my stepdad, and my stepdad starts backing away from me. So that was like a major red flag for me. I was like, why is my stepfather backing away from me? And I'm trying to talk to him and be like, hey, what is this? Why are these cops, interested in me all of a sudden? So anyways, I followed the instruction of the cop. I put my hands on the hood. He started searching me. He didn't give me a reason as to why he did that. There was no reasoning for it. What he did was he took his hand and he put his hand in my pants, like in my underwear, and he started like feeling around my genitals. And he pulled out the tissue that I had in my genitals. Okay. Now, again, the area that I lived in was a very high drug trafficking area. This was like in 5th Ward, Houston, Texas. Okay. Again, I never hung around any of those people. I never even really spoke. I didn't speak to anybody because I knew what a lot of those people were involved in, and I didn't want to have any type of affiliations with any of them. So again, a lot of people thought I was stuck up, you know, that I was like a rude person. It was like, no, I know what you guys were into, and I wasn't going to be involved in that. And I know sometimes when you talk to people, a lot of those people are under investigations. You know, they're watched by the feds, they're watched by the local police. So if you have any interactions with them, you know, then the police is going to be focused on you. So anyways, he pulls the tissue out and he's looking off in the tissue. You know, I guess he's implying that I have drugs on me. And mind you, I'd never done any drugs, no drugs whatsoever in my life. But yeah, so I guess he thought maybe I had like crack rocks or something like that. I don't know. But the question that popped up in my head was, how did he know that I had tissue in my genitals? Like, what would make him just randomly just pull me, you know, stop me, tell me to put my hands on the hood, and then go directly into my underwear? And he didn't search anywhere else. It was like he knew exactly where that tissue was. So that led me to believe that the house we were living in was under some sort of surveillance. You know, come to find out later on down the line, years later, the cops that usually work that area are crooked cops. You know, they help the drug dealers, actually. So they had some type of way of watching and knowing that I put that tissue in my genitals, because he went straight for it. So when my gang stalking went overt in 2014, you know, when you experience this gang stalking and you look back, it makes you look back on your life, because you wonder, like, man, how far did this stuff actually go? How long have I actually been dealing with this? And looking back on my life, I've been gang stalked since I was a little kid. Probably since I was a baby, to be honest with you. Just always have been watched and had these weird characters come into my life and try to manipulate me. And I was just so glad that the Father's presence was always strong throughout my whole life. I was able to always stay out of the trouble of getting involved with gangs and peer pressure and things of that nature. So my whole family, again, is being targeted. These people caused my mother to have a stroke. They were stressing my mother out at work. My mother worked at a nursing home, you know, taking care of, elderly people that were basically on the verge of passing away. And she had a stroke one night. This was right around the time where I was still researching about my gang stalking and trying to find out what it was. And my mother had been gang stalked because she told me stories about her going to work and having people like riding around with their bright lights on, and just kind of people harassing her, sicking their dogs on her and stuff like that. And I'm like, why would anybody want to do that to my mother? My mother is like my mother is an angel. She is a complete angel. Like I was born from an angel, I swear. You know, my mother would give the shirt off her back to anyone. And my mother has always been kind of like poor, but yet she still helped people. She's like me. You know what I mean? Well, I'm like her. She came before me, so I'm like her. You know, I still give the shirt off my back for people. I will go downtown and go talk to the homeless and even give money to the homeless. Even in my adversity, living in my car, I've done that. I don't really boast about stuff like that, because when you do things for people, you're supposed to be a cheerful giver, and then you're not supposed to really boast about it. You know what I mean? You keep that between yourself and the Father and the person that you did for, and then you don't expect anything in return. But that really angered me, you know, and it's amazing how I've not hurt anyone, you know, in reference to doing this to my family. That's why I kind of stay away from my family, because I have that anger in me. I'd rather they just do it to me than do it to my family. But, you know, these people, they're going to find anything that they can do to hinder you. Anything that you love, they're going to tamper with. They're even going to try to take it away. So they induced that stroke in my mother. And do you know that these bastards, excuse my language, they didn't even contact us to let her know that, to let her family know that she had a stroke. We got a call from the hospital. Her job did not even contact us. And at the time, my mom and my sister, my oldest sister, were living together. They didn't even contact my sister. So we had to hear it from the hospital. Okay? These people mistreated my mother horribly. These people, they hate my mother. They really hate my mother, and they let me know that. So that's how I know this is some demonic, satanic, spiritual type stuff, because my mother's light is so bright. I'm going to share a picture with you guys of my mother, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Her light is so bright, and they just hate her. They often refer to me as son of a bitch. They always used to call me that, son of a bitch, son of a bitch. Always, you know, insulting my mother. But, yeah, they mistreated her in that hospital, and I almost lost my mind. I almost lost it myself. And I had to continually seek the Father. I had to continually pray and ask the Father in heaven to keep me calm. It says in Scripture that it's okay to be angry, but sin not. So I always kept that in mind. And another scripture I also kept in mind was, vengeance is the Father's. He will repay. There is no one who can render justice, who can render vengeance better than the Father can, because he is the creator. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He will know specifically what to do to people to get them. So if me deciding to go out and hurt people, I always refrain from doing that. And it takes a lot in me not to do it. But I love my Father in heaven more than anything in this world. And I strive to do his will, and I strive to adhere to his word. You know, I'm not perfect. You know, sometimes I might go off on people. I might say words here and there, but I don't put my hands on people. I don't do that. You know, the worst I'll do is like speak my mind. And that's okay to do. You know, I don't do it all the time. It's every once in a blue moon. But, you know, my Father's not going to frown upon me for doing that every once in a while, considering the fact of what we go through anyways. But, yeah, they're doing it to my brother. My brother's also gang stalked. We're all separated. They finally got my sister into a mental facility. I just got off the phone talking to her. She just called me. I had been trying to reach out to her, but every time I would call, they'd say she was asleep, or, you know, something was going on or whatever. So I was so happy to hear from my older sister today. And my sister's not crazy. She's just, they gang stalked her so bad, and she was the one taking care of my mother after my mother had a stroke, because my mother became disabled after the stroke. And my sister was the one, you know, kind of taking care of my mom and stuff like that. And in the midst of taking care of my mom, they were gang stalking my mother and sister in those apartments. Every time my sister would go out and take trash out, you know, they would stalk her and harass her, having vehicles like pull up on her with bright lights and basically just trying to work her nerve and cause like major anxiety. And ultimately it took its toll on my sister. At one point, my sister's eyes were closed. She didn't even believe me about my gang stalking. And at one point, it seemed like my sister was even a perp. But what it was is that Satan had instilled some sort of Jezebel spirit in my sister, and it caused her to not be there for me. You know, I very well could not have been homeless. You know, I could have stayed in the apartment where my mom and sister were living at. But Satan had his hold over my sister. So my sister basically would lash out at me and would say that I was the one being a problem. You know, these people aren't doing anything to you. And she just was blind. And then ultimately she came to her senses. And because it was through prayer that I was able to get her to see. And she started seeing, connecting the dots. She'd noticed the trash that would always be outside the apartment door. But you look around at everybody else's house, everybody else's doorstep, there's no trash, but there was always heaps of trash that was always in front of the door. So I had to literally hold her hand or take her outside and say, do you see this? Do you not see this type of stuff going on? This is just a small part of what they do. You know, they sabotage your vehicle when you're in your house. My sister ended up losing her vehicle. You know, she was letting neighbors work on her car, and I specifically told her not to do that because those people were perps. I knew they were perps. But every time I would say something to those neighbors to leave my sister alone, don't do anything with her vehicle, my sister would go off on me in anger. You're the problem. Get out of here. You know, you're going to end up making us lose our apartment, this, that, and the other. And all I was trying to do was get my sister to see. But ultimately, this program, this demonic thing took its toll on her, and she ended up in the mental facility. And I know my sister's not crazy. It took its toll on her. You know, we're all separated. My younger sister, she lives in San Antonio with her husband. And it's been very tough dealing with this, especially when you have family that you love. You know, to see them suffer and go through this, it's horrible. And we're very good people. You know, we're the kind of people that you would want around your family, that you could trust with your children. I can't tell you how many times that we've kept other people's children. My mother had friends or even strangers that just knew we were good people. You know, if they had something to do and they couldn't afford daycare, or it was a situation where it was an emergency, they didn't have anyone to watch their kids. You know, me and my mom and my whole family, we would take children in and care for them, you know. And it's just horrible that this type of thing is going on. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. Like, I know a lot of targeted individuals talk about their family being in on their targeting. And I do have family members that are perps, but my immediate family, they're not perps. My father was also a victim of gang stalking as well. Towards the end of his death, he also died of a heart attack in 1999. His wife, my stepmother, was a perp. You know, she belonged to the Catholic Church, and you know, we all know that the Catholic Church is super demonic. It's satanic. You know, they serve Lucifer. And I'll never forget the day that my father was to be buried. We were in the brigade of vehicles that was on the way to the burial site, and the gang stalkers tried to run my father's casket off the road. And that memory of that always stuck with me. It always stuck with me. And then when I started to experience the gang stalking full throttle, how they try to run you off the road and do all this crazy stuff, it clicked in my head. Even my brother and sister mentioned that they remembered that, and they knew that our dad was also targeted. There was a lot of stuff that my father went through. They say a true gentleman never reveals his health status. My father never really talked to us about his health. He was a very strong man. My father was the closest thing to Jesus that I ever knew. You know, he was very stern and firm on discipline. You know, that's where I got most of my strength from, was from my father. You know, he raised me like a soldier. I got butt whippings every day. He made sure that he set me straight. That's why I'm the person I am today. It's because of my dad. And they tried to run his casket off of the road. And also, I'll never forget this as well. During the during the funeral proceedings, he didn't have many family that was there because my father was from West Africa. So the only people that kind of showed up were people that he worked with. And then he had a few friends here and there. He really didn't have that many friends. So the church was pretty empty. But I will never forget this. There was a panel of people that were at the very back of the church. They all had on dark suits. It was a mix of men and women, older people. They were all Caucasian. Race doesn't matter, but I'm just for descriptive purposes. They were all Caucasians. Do you know that these people sat at the back of that church and they stared at us like snakes? Not a single one of them came up and offered their condolences. They just stared at us like almost as if they were feeding off of our sadness and misery. And when everything was all said and done, they got up, they walked out that church, they got in their all black vehicles. It was like on some FBI government type stuff. All black vehicles, and they left. And we were left to ponder, like, who were these people? Who were these people that were at this funeral, my dad's funeral, that never came up to us to offer condolences or speak to us or anything? So again, when my gang stalking went overt and I started doing research on the Illuminati and secret societies and things of that nature, that's exactly who they were. They were the Illuminati, members of the Illuminati. So this thing goes way back, you know, the gang stalking and all the stuff that goes on with us. I believe it's a generational thing. You know, I truly believe it's generational. You look back on your life, you remember all these weird things that happened, and then you start researching the gang stalking, and it's like everything starts to make sense. The wicked watches the righteous. Plain and simple. The devil knows what you're here to do. He knows. So he's here to hinder that. He's here to keep you from being that light in the world, from being the change in the world, from being that influence. All throughout my life, I've always had people tell me that I'm an influence to them. The way that I carry myself, the way that I speak. You know, even though I lived in the hood, I never subjected myself to speaking Ebonics. My father always taught us to speak properly, to speak intelligently, to articulate. The same way that I speak is the same way that my dad spoke. My dad could switch up because, again, he's from West Africa, so he could switch up from speaking his language and having the accent of, you know, the West African accent and whatnot, and then he could go to speaking, you know, just like I'm talking now. So I got all that from him. That's how he brought all of us up, my whole family. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I know I really don't talk too much about my background. I'd like to be able to, share pictures and things of that nature with you guys too, so you can get a look at, my family and stuff. I consider you guys my family, so I like talking to y'all and sharing things with y'all. I really don't have too many friends. I don't have any friends, really. I have people I talk to here and there, but most of the friends that I had, like I said, when you come to this awakening, you lose a lot of people that you dealt with in the past. They start looking at you like, oh, something's wrong with you or you're crazy. No, it's just that the Father chose to open your eyes because he favored you. He favors us. So, yeah, I wanted to share this with you guys. My sister's okay. She cried. She cried when she got off the phone, when we were about to get off the phone, and, I started kind of sobbing myself a little bit. I love my sister very much, and I'm just so happy that she woke up. She woke up and the devil started working on her, but the Father in heaven prevails over all things. I always remind my sister that the Father is always with her, and I tell her to take the experience that I've spoken to her about, because she saw what I went through. She watched my videos and she knows exactly what I've been through and what I'm still going through, but yet I'm still able to stand strong. So I tell her to use that as a guide, to draw strength from that. I told my sister, I said, I don't know how things are going to turn out, but I know that if you get through this, if you endure, you'll be stronger than you've ever been before. And that was encouragement to her. And she started crying. But, just continue to stay strong. I know there are TIs out there who have families that are also being targeted. Mothers, fathers, sisters, children especially. That's the most heartbreaking part, is when they're doing this to children. Oh, that's the part that would really make me lose my mind. To see a child having to go through this. People doing this to a child. A helpless, innocent child. But I also wanted to apologize to anybody that I may have offended. I know I made some comments about people using emoticons and things of that nature. I sincerely apologize. I didn't mean to offend anyone. It's just that this program is so geared towards pitting us against each other. And oftentimes, you notice certain things and you just kind of want to speak your mind on it. So I'm definitely not being accusatory. I call things out as I see it, because I'm a real person and I go off of my discernment, and I just, I have to mention some of these things. So to anyone, Exodus, I think his channel is Exodus K, and I sincerely apologize to you, bro. I may not have even offended you. You just maybe wanted to clarify that, that you're not a perp. And I know that you're not a perp, bro. So I sincerely apologize to you if that may have offended you in any kind of way. I definitely don't want to be an accuser of brethren, because that's what Satan is. He's an accuser of the brethren. So making accusations or anything of that nature is not a good thing to do. So it wasn't directed at anyone when I made that comment. I was just speaking in general. So for anyone that may have been offended, I do apologize. And yeah. It's another beautiful day. All praises and glory be unto the Father in heaven. It's a really, really wonderful day. The sun's nice and bright. The sun that he placed up there, that's love right there. The warmth and comfort of that sun is just amazing. The energy you get from it. You guys should make it a point to sun gaze. If you're not experienced sun gazers, I'd start off by doing it right when the sun comes up. There's less ultraviolet radiation going, and you know, it's a great way to build up that intake of light. I could look at the sun all day and not even, I wouldn't look at it all day, but I can look at it for a very long period of time and be totally fine. The sun gives you information. You know, it's like, that's information from the Father in heaven. You know, that's the reason why they block it out with chemtrails a lot. You know, they don't want us to absorb that energy and to come to an awakening to see the world for what it really is. But you guys stay strong. No matter what you go through, always keep the Father first. I know I'm very repetitive and I regurgitate a lot of it, but, you know, repetition is really good when it comes to speaking the word of the Father. You know, that's why it even says in Scripture to constantly study the word and, you know, to have it in your heart and whatnot. So, what else? Yeah, that's about it for now. Let me know how you guys are doing. I love all of you. May the Father in heaven bless. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and do a prayer. Almighty Father in heaven, Yahuwah Elohim, the Alpha and the Omega, I pray on behalf of my fellow TI brethren and sister. I pray that you love, continue to love and comfort and provide your holy divine protection. I pray that you send your mighty holy angels to surround and encompass all targeted individuals that are going through the trials and tribulations and the persecutions and the hatred that is being portrayed upon us in this world. Father, I pray in the mighty name of your only begotten Son, our Savior, that you continue to keep every one of us under your shadow, under your wing, and keep us protected at all times. And just continue to give us the strength to endure, Father. The battle has already been won, but I pray that you allow our targeted individuals to be strong and just make it through. That's all we got to do is just make it through. The book has already been written. All the names of the people that are saved, it's already been sealed, Father. So just let us be able to make it through. In Yahushua's mighty name, let it be so. I pray for everyone's financial situations. I pray for people that are looking for work. All for him. You specifically as well. I know that you're going through your situation with finances and work and things of that nature. I pray that the Father in heaven will bless you abundantly. I pray that he will provide for you and he will come upon a blessing for you to where your situation will be turned around. And I go beyond believing that for you. I know that will happen for you, and you must know it too. Whatever worries or woes that you may be having, let the Father deal with all of that. You must continue to have strong faith. So, Father in heaven, I pray that my prayer is acceptable before you, Almighty One. And I pray in the mighty name of Yahushua HaMashiach, as it is written in Scripture, anything that is asked of the Father in the name of the Son, it shall be granted. So everything that I've spoken of in this prayer, Father in heaven, by power and authority of Yahushua HaMashiach, in his name, I pray that you grant it. So be it. All right, it's done. You guys have a wonderful day. You're loved, you're favored, you're protected. Have no worries in this world. He is with us always. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.